Hey guys, welcome to Mrs. G's Sewing Space. Today we are going to be talking about invisible zippers and how to put them together so that they look nice, so that you can't see the zippers. So if you look here, you can see my markings, but you can't see the zipper itself because it's invisible. See, it's invisible. Invisible zippers, yay! Okay. Now, it's not hard, it's not complicated. Well, okay, there's a twist to it. It's completely backwards than what a regular zipper, putting in a regular zipper, but it's not hard. You just got to pay attention to what you're doing. Oh, that was my kids. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and move on to the video so you guys can learn how to put in an invisible zipper, and I'll see you guys afterwards. Okay, now we're talking about invisible zippers. And invisible zippers, this is how you put an invisible zipper in. So the first things first, you're going to take your garment pieces or the fabric or whatever it is that you're going to use, and you're not going to sew them together. So you're going to sew your zipper to the fabric with them still separate. So you're not going to stitch the seam. So in the centered zipper and in the lap zipper, you did a basting stitch here at the top where the zipper was going to be placed, and then you did a permanent stitch at the bottom. But that's not how you're going to do it this time. But we are going to take the time, and if you're doing this on a pattern, what we're going to do, we're going to mark our seam allowances. So we need to know what our seam allowance here at the top and the ones down the side. So I'm just going to mark randomly a seam allowance. Now, follow the seam allowances to your pattern if you're using a commercial pattern. But for our instance, we're just going to do a 1/2 inch on the top and the bottom. So a 1/2 inch here, a 1/2 inch here. We want to make sure that everything matches up. And then we're going to do a 1/2 inch in from our cut line. Now, I will tell you this is important because when you're doing your invisible zipper, because you're putting it together with two separate pieces and they're not connected, you're going to have to line them up through the zipper, which is why it's important to mark out your seam allowances, because you're going to lay your zipper according to these seam allowances. And when I shifted this second piece of fabric here, it became out of alignment. So I need to make sure everything's back in alignment before I finish marking, so that way I can make sure my zipper will be put in correctly. Now that I have this information done, putting in an invisible zipper is completely backwards from what you've been taught before, because we're putting it in with two separate pieces and we have to line it up using our seam allowances, and we're not going to put it in on our seam allowances the normal way. So the invisible zipper's a little more complicated and people kind of freak out about it a little more. It's not hard once you know what you're doing. So we've got our seam allowances marked. I went ahead and interfaced where on our seam where our zipper's going to go. I actually made a mistake, and when I was ironing, I put my on the wrong side. I'm like, that's not going to work. So I had to go back and do a new one. So now we're going to take our right sides. We're going to pin, because we're going to be installing our invisible zipper on the right side. It sounds weird, I know. It's kind of freaky when you think about it. But that's why I'm marking where our seam allowances are with my pins, so that I know what to see on the opposite side. So now we're going to set this one aside over here, and I'm going to remark my 1/2 inch here, so we can do pins. So I'm going to use my pins and I'm going to space them out here so that I can mark them, and this will give me an idea of where my seam line is right here. Take those out, and now I can go back with my ruler. Okay, just like that. So now I have the line where I'm going to put my coils at. And I need to do the same thing for this side. And just to double check that I did it right, I'm going to put my pins in directly on the line, not even a smidge off. It needs to be actually on the line, just so that I can make sure I drew it right. And then double check. See, my pins line up on what I drew on the back. So I'm good. Let's set that aside right here, because I don't need that piece. Put that away. set that aside. And then here, this is how we're going to install the invisible zipper. So I got my seam allowances marked on the back side, and I got my seam allowances marked here on the front side, which is important because I need this information to install my invisible zipper correctly. If any of this is shifted or moved during this process, then your whole garment will be shifted. So this is why you need to be careful. It's not hard, you just need to pay attention. So we're going to take our invisible zipper here, and you see how it's turned in like this? It doesn't lie flat. This is how it comes. It comes like this, but I ironed it. I opened up the zipper and I ironed those coils flat. So here's the invisible zipper. I ironed those coils flat. You need those flat coils in order to install your zipper correctly. So when you get the zipper in the packaging, it looks normal, but after you iron it, it looks like this, kind of like a butterfly when it has its wings up. And that's how it looks. So you just need to make sure you iron everything down. This is the second time I'm doing this. The first time around, I did everything correct except for one thing. I placed my zipper the wrong way. So in doing this, we need to make sure that we place our zipper correctly. And this is what I said, where it's not complicated, but if you don't pay attention, you make mistakes. And I totally made a mistake the first time around that I did this. So we have our zipper, it's been ironed. We're going to have to place our coils here on the line. And this is exactly where I went wrong. I placed the zipper on the wrong side. So what you want, when you place the zipper and you stitch it, because it'll be stitched right here behind the coils, this is how it's going to look when you zip it up. Like that. And that's the mistake that I made. So we have to add our zipper to the opposite side. So it needs to be like this. The only way to get coils like this is to make sure that we're putting the zipper on backwards. But it's not really backwards, but it is kind of backwards. Because we're having to put the zipper on without the seams being sewn. Two separate pieces, the seam's totally backwards. But by the time it's all said and done, it'll be correct. So, we're going to take our zipper and we are going to flip it over like this. And then we're going to put our coils against the stitch line on the opposite. So this needs to be over here. This is the only way we're going to be able to get our coils to line up correctly and have our zipper zip up to the top. Seams backwards. It is absolutely backwards. I'm telling you, this is backwards, and it's a little confusing after you've learned how to do a lapped and a center zipper. But at the stopper at the top is going to meet right there in that corner, right here. And we're going to lay our coils right here on this line that we marked. This line is very important so that it'll match up on the other side. This is why this is kind of complicated. If you're not paying attention like I did the first time around, then you're going to be in trouble. Just like I was. I had to unpick everything and do it again so I could show you correctly. No, I think my pins might be going dull. So the coils are going to line up with the marks that I made. Okay, now that I've got my pins, and they're all this way, so as the zipper foot comes down, I can easily remove the pins. We're going to go stitch this part right here. Okay, so I'm going to move my standard foot, put it away so it doesn't get lost, take out my zipper foot. So remember in the last video, the zipper foot was this foot with the hole in the middle, and underneath it has two grooves, the left and the right side groove. So when we put our zipper foot on, we need to make sure our needle is precisely in the middle of the hole. So I'm going to use my hand wheel on the side of the machine, and I'm going to put my needle down to make sure that it's in the middle as I can get. On my machine, it looks like it's a 3.0. On other machines, it might be different. But if I need to make adjustments, you can make adjustments before you put your zipper in. So, as I'm putting my zipper in, the coils are going to go on the left side tunnel here, because I want that needle to be stitching here on the right side of the coils. So the coils go in the left tunnel. And I'm also going to say, make sure you have your bobbin thread and your top thread underneath and pulled out to the side here in the back, because that will help you when you start out. So I'm going to line up my coils. I'm going to line up my coils. Actually, I'm going to line them up right there. And I'm going to hold on to the thread here in the back. So I've got my top thread and my bobbin thread here. And I'm going to tug gently in the back as I start out. That'll help get my fabric to move along and nothing will get caught in my throat plate. So just gently. You're not trying to pull everything out. Just a gentle tug until the threads catch. And you can feel when the threads catch. And just take your time and go ahead and sew in your zipper. Okay, so here I've hit the zipper head and I'm just going to do a back stitch of a couple of stitches just to secure everything. Lift the needle and we're going to pull it all out. Okay, so here we go. Here is this one. And I know I've done it right because if I flip it correctly, this is how it's going to look once it's zippered up. So here's the top of my zipper right here. And if I zip it up, so that would be correct once it's all done. So I know I've got one side done correctly. Whew, now we got to do the other side. So the other side, we're going to unzip it again, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So to keep it from getting twisted, we're going to move everything over here. So you may have to finagle it just a little bit. So if you're going to do right sides together, the zipper is going to be facing into the right side, and then just like this. So now you can lay down your other side of the zipper, and now you can pin it. Make sure you lay that zipper and the coils in the exact same place as you did on the first one, on the one side. So you got to do whatever you did on this side, you have to do it as precisely as possible on the opposite side. So my zipper stop right here, I'm going to put it right there so that I know that that matches up with the zipper stop that I have over here. And I have lines marked, which helps me compare. So the lines I have marked here, that I have marked here, I can compare to make sure that my zipper is placed where it's supposed to be. Okay, so now we're going to place that zipper, the coils, on the line that we marked and pin everything down. Okay, so here we go. We're going back to the sewing machine to get it all sewn up. So we're going to do the same thing that we did over here. So when we turn the zipper, we know it's placed correctly because we can see it as we pretend to zip it up. Well, we're not going to zip it up, but we can see as we lay it out that it's placed correctly. So now I'm going to go sew that up real quick. Okay, so for here, we're going to start at the top, and this time, well, making sure that our top thread and our bobbin thread are pulled to the back. We're going to lay our coils down, and they're going to go on the right side of the zipper foot. So I'm going to start right here, right there, just above the seam allowance. Tugging on my top and bottom thread. Just a simple tug. You're not trying to rip all the thread out. Just enough to move the fabric along. Take a couple of stitches. Okay, we're going to remove the pins. Okay. I think my needle just went through the coils, but we're going to move on. There you go. Alright. And I'm going to sew with my I'm going to sew with my needle down, so every time I stop, my needle's down, so none of the, if the fabric shifts, I won't lose my place. Okay, so here we go. Okay, we need to make sure that stays out of the way. You can see I'm near the end of my zipper tape right here, because we're just going to go along and bump into the head. So we're going to do a few more stitches, and then we're just going to do a couple of back stitches to make sure nothing comes undone. One more. Okay, there we go. Lift our needle, and now we're going to pull it all out. So here is our lump, our lovely lump. So as we try to unravel it, this is what it's going to look like. So our zipper is going to look like it's twisted, but it shouldn't be twisted. If we've done this right, we can see, we'll pull it to the inside. Let's zip up our zipper. Nope, okay, there we go. So there's our zipper. And you can see here, you see how the fabric meets? If you pull it apart, you can see the zipper, but you have to pull it. And you shouldn't have to pull it to see the zipper. You want that zipper hidden underneath the fabric as it pulls together like this. So we've installed the zipper correctly. Now to finish this out, we're going to lay our right sides together, just like this. If we were making a garment, we would line up our seam allowances right here. We would pull the zipper out of the way, line up our seam allowances, and we will do a stitch of our permanent stitching for the rest of the seam as we go on down. So we would start like right here, we would overlap just a little bit, we would stitch all the way down, and then we would also stitch the loose end of our zipper because we don't want it poking out. We would take it and stitch here in the seam allowance. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. Here we go. We're all done with our invisible zipper. You have to probably iron it down a little bit, but there you go. So we have, if we were doing a neckline or a waistband, we would put our waistband in and we would have our zipper right there, so it would fold over and look nice or stitched up or whatever. The only thing visible is our zipper pull. You can pull the zipper down, and then the bottom of our seam has been stitched up securely. Now on the back side, we have it like this. So we would go through and iron this flat here. Probably press this down just a little bit gently. You don't want to flatten it too much. Just a gentle press here. And then we took our seam tape and we stitched it down here to the seam allowances, so nothing is shown on the right side of the fabric. It's all here on the inside. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed everything. I hope I was able to teach you how to put it in a visible zipper and show you that it's not hard, but it is, you got to pay attention to what you're doing. For example, the first time around I put this zipper in, I put it in completely backwards. Well, you already put it in backwards. So I didn't put it in backwards, I put it in correctly, but I placed my zipper on the wrong side. And when you do that, you got to unpick everything, and then it becomes a pain in the butt. But I wanted to share with you how to do it correctly, because it's been a while since I've done it. I don't use invisible zippers very often for their actual purpose. Usually when I make zippy bags, I might use the invisible zippers because I like the way it looks. But other than that, you know, I don't put them in my clothing very often. So that might have to change. I want to make sure I remember how to put an invisible zipper in. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Yay, we like thumbs ups. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. My next project, I'm going to take a separating zipper, so a zipper that comes apart from itself, and I'm going to put it in a hoodie that I have, so that the hoodie, instead of having it come over my head, I can just put it on and zip it up. So that's going to be my next project with zippers. So if you have any comments, throw them down below. Let me know what you think. If you have any ideas of anything that you want to see, go ahead and shoot me, or, well, don't shoot me an email, but throw the comments down below so I can see them, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. There are some things, I have a whole box of jeans of my husband's that he has willingly donated to me, and I think I'm going to make a poof of some sort. That was suggested to me by someone, and we're going to see how that goes, and I'm still thinking of it. So it might still be further down the line, but it's going to get done eventually. But let me know what you guys want to see next, and we'll take it from there. The whole zipper series was suggested by somebody, and so I wanted to do that. Maybe we'll do buttonholes next. Maybe I'll do another project. Maybe we'll do pot holders or mug rugs or some other starter project that you guys can do without feeling overwhelmed. So in the meantime, I'll see you in the next video.